Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Manish Shrestha, working as Assistant Professor at Haryana School of Business, GJ University of Science and Technology, Hisar. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic Architecture of Compensation Management. Before starting the discussion, let's have a look at the contents. The discussion will start with the introduction of topic, followed by stakeholders of compensation management, wage determination model, determinants of compensation, and at the end, summary. By the end of this module, students will be able to understand the concept of compensation management and identify determinants of compensation and know about the different wage determinants model. The dictionary meaning of architecture is the structure and design of a building in the narrowest form of the word. In generic terms, especially in reference that we are using architecture, we wish to define it as the structure of the compensation management system. By now, it has been clear in our concepts that compensation and its management are crucial for the sustenance of employees and hence for the overall growth and sustainability of the organization. The stakeholders of the compensation management play a very important role in designing and execution of the compensation systems. This module discusses almost all possible stakeholders of compensation management. The later half of the module talks about the various models that are used for the determination of compensation of different levels of the employees. And at the end, last section talks about the determinants of compensation levels. Management of compensation is a vibrant and complex issue. In today's organizational setup, human resources play a very significant role. Nowadays, compensation is not merely organization to employee transaction process. It is a broader and vital system with multiple stakeholders such as organization. It is the key stakeholder of compensation management. Organizations pay employees not only to compensate them for the work performed by them, but also to encourage employees to improve their performance and productivity so that the organization can achieve its goals easily and effectively. In the absence of proper compensation, employees will not perform properly and this will negatively affect efficiency and effectiveness of the organization. Second component is manager. Managers play a crucial role in supervising and guiding the employees so that they perform in the best possible manner. They motivate and appraise performance of employees on a daily basis and recommend compensation increase to employees. If the managers are biased or incompetent, then the employees will feel depressed for not getting fair compensation or rewards. Therefore, through compensation review, managers help to improve performance of employees and help to retain them for a longer time in the organization. Third is employees. Employees work in an organization not only to meet their basic needs but also to get a sense of satisfaction and achievement. If the employees are not satisfied with the compensation offered to them, then they will not complete their work in time. Moreover, if an employee feels that his compensation is low as compared to market rates or peer groups, then he starts feeling dissatisfied and starts searching for jobs in other organizations which are offering better compensation and facilities. Therefore, employees are the key stakeholders of compensation management, without whom compensation management is not possible. Labor market refers to the place where people who are willing and able to work search out jobs. According to classical economists, compensation rate depends upon demand and supply of workforce. Other factors influencing compensation rates are changes in the standard of living of employees, changes in productivity, changes in income distribution, etc. Therefore, labor market play a very important role in compensation management. Next stakeholder is the state. The state regulates compensation levels and makes timely amendments in compensation mandates and frame policies for minimum wages, equal remuneration, social security, and statutes affecting bargaining power of union. And the final component is trade union and customers. Trade union are representative body of employees who work for the benefits of employees. Employees as individuals are not always able to negotiate their compensation after a limit. Through collective bargaining, employees can negotiate for better compensation deals. With the help of collective bargaining, compensation of different classes of employees is mutually agreed at organization, industry and national level. On the other hand, customers' loyalty, the outcome of superior customer service, and investment loyalty, the outcome of protected and enhanced shareholder value, are each dependent upon the business gaining the commitment and loyalty of its employees. Therefore, if an organization compensates its employees well, then it is in the position to provide better customer service and can retain its customers for a longer period of time. Hence, from the above discussion, we can conclude that compensation is not only limited to employee-organization relationship in the form of an employment contract, but it extends to large number of other key stakeholders. Wage formation is very important for understanding economic development in almost every dimension, including equality, employment, productivity and welfare. Since labor market institutions largely determine wage formation, therefore many models have been developed to explain how wages are set. The first model is internal labor market model. The theory of internal labor markets originated from sociology. The internal labor market refers to set of careers and relatively detailed defined career paths that in turn lead to a long-term attachment and is characterized by administrative rules. It is different from the external labor market of conventional economic theory, in which decisions relating to pricing, allocation and training decisions are controlled directly by economic variables. These two markets are interconnected. However, the movement between them occurs at certain job classifications which constitute ports of entry and exit and from the internal labor market. The remaining jobs within the internal market are taken care of through transfer and promotion of employees within the organization. As a result, these jobs are not affected from the direct influence of competitive forces in the external market. One of the important decisions for organization is to decide whether to hire existing employees from within the organization or some outsider with some specific skill sets for a job opening. Employees are mostly hired from outside at specific ports of entry, but internal job flows also motivates internal employees to perform better. The final reward in the tournament model. The other review pertains to viewing employees as human capital which is valued by the current organization. Organizations and employees will invest in organization specific training only if they feel that they will be able to gain substantially in some form or the other from the training. Organization specific human capital makes employees less likely to switch to other organizations, since turnover will lead to the loss of human capital. Therefore, these employees have a basic incentive to follow a career inside an organization. Human capital model. Human capital theory can be largely attributed to economists from the early 1950s. Until the 1950s, economists generally assumed that the labor power was given and not augmentable. Human capital consists of all the skills that people possess. The skills are not static. The skills can be enhanced by making investment in human capital, such as teaching some new courses, techniques, on-the-job training, etc. Human capital is of two types: A. General and B. Organization specific. General human capital refers to human capital that is equally valued by all the organizations and is completely transferable from one organization to the other. Organization specific human capital refers to knowledge that is valued by current organization and will be lost if the employee transfers to another organization. This difference not only affects on-the-job training decisions but also affects turnover decisions. Employees invest in human capital only after making a fair assessment of trade-off between their benefits and costs. Returns and costs of investment in organization specific human capital will be shared between organization and employees. After the training is completed, employees will receive compensation above the level they could earn elsewhere, since the productivity in other organizations has not changed. Organizations will be unwilling to invest in the training of general human capital in a competitive labor market, since they will be unable to capture the returns. Hence, compensation attached to jobs and jobs assigned by seniority can derive efficient outcomes of careers and compensation structure. Task assignment models are another extension and explain the distribution of compensation within the organization as an outcome to problem of assigning jobs to employees. Besides compensation, promotion is also important as it signals the employee's ability to other organizations and will make potential organizations bid up the compensation of promoted employees. Employees who would perform marginally better in a more senior job are not promoted because of imposed compensation increase. In general, human capital theory introduces an argument for the exercise and existence of internal labor markets and shows how organization specific human capital explains. Matching models. A different set of models in economics that focuses on employees' ability is based on the combination of search and matching aspect. The search model uses the assumption of heterogeneous abilities across employees. Employees shop around and search for the best match jobs, that is, those offering the highest compensation. Job mobility in a search model implies a positive relationship between experience and compensation, since more experienced employees had more time to search the labor market for organizations that fits them best. Early models portray employees as optimizing the trade-off between time and resources spent on searching for job opportunities and the uncertain returns to job search in terms of compensation attached to the job selected. The model shows that besides the search behavior of unemployed people, employed people too will search for better paying jobs, that is, on the job search. At the beginning of a job, there is a lack of information about the match quality between an employee and the job. The employee's output is observed by both the employee and the employer and is seen as a signal of the quality of the match. Over time, more information is revealed and prior expectations about the match quality are updated. This information leads to either job continuance or employee turnover. In human capital theory, a good match potentially leads to promotion. Both matching models concentrate on separations and explains, for example, why employees tend to have a high rate of turnover in the first year of their career. The implications of the models are different. On one hand, the search model predicts that the probability of a job separation declines when general labor market experience increases. More experience will lead to higher compensation and thereby falling probability that the subsequent compensation offer is high enough to lead to a switch. On the other hand, the matching model predicts that the probability of separation declines with on-the-job tenure. Bad matches whose information is revealed in an earlier stage of the work relationship will lead to a switch decline as function of tenure. Competitive model. The neoclassical interpretation of wage differentials emphasizes two aspects of wage behaviors. A. Since labor demand is determined by the value of the marginal product, wage differentials must correspond to productivity differentials. B. The free market forces will ensure that labor of the same quality will be paid the same wage. There are basically three types of considerations under which wage differentials remain consistent with the competitive interpretation of labor market. These are transitory differences, compensating differentials, and unmeasured labor quality. The last two are related to measurable problems. In the first place, changes in labor demand could produce transitory wage differentials for equally productive employees, differentials that will tend to narrow over time as the labor market returns to equilibrium. A second expansion focuses on compensating differentials that arise as higher wages are needed to compensate employees for job attributes of the industry. In this case, wage differentials are essentially a measurement error, since the compensation does not take into account differences in non-pecuniary costs of employees' employment. Finally, wage differentials may reflect the existence of unmeasured labor characteristics. These differentials could arise because different industries employ different technologies, which in turn are sensitive to employee ability in different degrees. The differential ability is known by the employee and the organization, but is unobserved by econometricians. In this model of insider-outsider, wage rigidity is attributed to the success efforts of existing employees or insiders to maintain their pay at the expense of unemployed job seekers or outsiders who would work for less. The insiders are quite powerful in the sense that they keep the turnover cost away, and the organization has the confidence that all systems and procedures are known as the employee is already in the system. In this manner, the presence of unemployed outsiders does not exert much downward pressure on compensations within the organization, because a pay cut would induce many insiders to quit, taking their valuable organization specific human capital with them. Those that stayed may not cooperate well with the new recruits. Two-tier pay scales would also pose problems for the organizations, because the insider will fear their eventual replacement by their lower paid new employees would once again refrain from cooperating. Even in a cyclical decline, the insider pay may respond little, if at all, because a pay drop is not something the insiders will accept. Consequently, employees are laid off. If insiders know that the organization will lay off employees on the basis of efficiency, then a majority of the more efficient employees will oppose a pay cut. Nowadays, one of the biggest challenges faced by business leaders is to search out effective methods of compensating employees. Rewards for productive work have been considered key motivators for efforts and achievements. In older days, the rewards came in the form of food and endurance, but with the introduction of money as a medium of exchange, these rewards have taken form of compensation. With time, the modes and methods have evolved in numerous ways in cash and kind. Compensation policies, strategies, and practices of an organization are influenced by a number of factors. These factors are personal characteristics. Personality is an important element of behavior, and behavior is the foundation stone of structure called attitude, motivation, and the performance of all employees. Personality is shaped by efficient internal and external factors, and it affects the behavior and actions of the employees and finally their job performance. It includes few dimensions of personal characteristics such as extroversion. Extrovert individuals are self-regulating in nature and therefore they feel more satisfied with their jobs because the work gives them self-satisfaction. Such employees need very little supervision and often respond positively to performance-linked rewards. On the other hand, introvert individuals are relatively less satisfied with their job due to too much stimulation. They do not respond positively to performance-linked rewards. Employees who are highly emotionally stable are likely to be more committed towards their goals, respond positively towards negative feedback, work hard to overcome obstacles in performing tasks, and are highly result oriented. Such employees are generally motivated and respond positively to pay for performance program. Individuals with high mental ability would be more anxious to compensation and promotions as motivators. They are the part of openness. Conscientious individuals often perform in an ethical manner and are often regular to work, which enables them to get better rewards and compensation. Employees who are good acceptors are always good followers and so seldom reach to higher positions, whereas those who voice their opinions move high up in ranks. Such employees value high rewards to excel in their jobs. Type of work has a deep and direct impact on outlook towards compensation depending upon the physical or mental abilities and terms of employment needed for satisfactory completion of a job. Expectations of employees shall be high for jobs which require greater skills, mental ability and competent jobs but require lesser skills, mental abilities and expectations of employees are lower. Furthermore, more manual jobs which involve huge risk to accidents and injuries, the compensation level shall be kept higher than the jobs which involve lower risk. Jobs which are temporary or contractual in nature, compensation should be kept lower than the regular jobs. Thus, there are a lot of factors which affect compensation and the conditions of work, nature of job and availability of specific skills that are critical to compensation fixation. Organizations play a key role in determining compensation of employees. Its features, plans, and policies drive compensation management process. Organization characteristics include industrial structure, size, technology, age, organizational life cycle stage. Organizational strategy focuses more on human resources than on financial resources. No doubt, managing financial resources effectively is very important for every organization, but most of the organizations have realized that capital is not the only that constrains growth. For example, Porter observed that there is a surplus of capital which chase the scarcity of talented people and send the knowledge they possess. They can create value for the organization. Therefore, organizations have been shifting their focus from financial capital to human capital. Organizations which formulate their strategy around financial capital will lag behind than the organization that formulates strategies focusing on human resources. Generally, organizations which focus more on financial capital pay less to employees in the form of compensation, whereas organizations which treat their employees as an asset give higher compensation to its employees in exchange for their talent, skills, competencies, and commitment. The last component is organizational policies. With the help of job evaluation, organizations assign different worth to different jobs. An organization has three policy choices while compensating employees: lead, match, or lag. According to lead policy, the compensation paid by organizations is higher than the rates prevailing in the labor market. Organizations adopt this policy to attract and retain talented employees for longer period of time in the organization. Under matching policy, organizations pay as per prevailing labor market rate. But under lag policy, an organization pays lesser than the market rates. Thus, the number and quality of personnel viable in an organization depend largely upon compensation policy adopted by a firm. In order to summarize the discussion, the architecture of compensation management plays a very important role in defining the strategy related to compensation in the organization. This very architecture is solely responsible for the implementation of the compensation system within the organization. So, if this architecture has been meticulously planned, the compensation system as a whole will be fruitful in sustaining, satisfying, and motivating the employees of the organization. Happy learning!